I have a lot more questions, but I'm going to wrap up because I don't have all the time in the world. Specifically, I have a question about the film, and I'm not going to get into too many spoilers because it concerns the end. But Paul, I'm curious because the end of this film is not, it doesn't go that closely to the short story's ending, which is, I would say, quite tragic and almost kind of depressing. What was the decision to change up the tone of that ending and give it something that where you have a little bit more hope?
Well, you know, we do end, well, the movie does have the original ending of the story, but then it goes on a little bit further because I think sometimes, you know, what works on the written page, if you have that experience in the movie theater, that's not going to be the best experience. It kind of works, it works in your home when you're reading it by yourself. When you're sitting watching it and you've been through this emotional journey with these characters, and then it suddenly ends, you don't want to send the audience out unsatisfied.
Everybody dies.
You know, you don't want to.
Wait a minute, that's how I always end.
So that, you know, we wanted to give kind of like an element of hope at the end, which for me, you know, as Milla said, it's almost like Gray Alys works the system a little bit. She's finally found how to outwit her curse. And maybe for some people, they actually do get what they wish for. They have to pay a terrible price for it. Of course, it's George R.R. Martin. You'd expect no less. But the terrible price is paid, and some people get what they want. And that is a new ending that we added. And to be honest, that was something that developed during the making of the movie. And because George had read the earlier drafts, he hadn't seen that ending. So when I came to show George the movie a few months ago, I'm sitting in the theater with George, in the very theater that we're going to be in tonight. And I suddenly realize I haven't told him that there's a new ending. And I got really, really nervous. I have to say, it's the most nervous I've ever been in a movie theater.
He didn't tell me this.
And
I would have been like, you what?
And
this is George R.R. Martin.
I should have told him. I was busy. I don't know. I got distracted.
I thought I could trust you.
And so the lights go up at the end, and I'm the most stressed I've ever been. And George turns around and he looks at me, and George has really, really good comic timing, and he stares at me, and there's this long beat, and then he goes, "I loved it." And that was, so I went from being the most stressed I've ever been in the theater to probably the happiest I've ever been in the theater.
Cold sweats came in.
Yeah.
With the face of thunder. He turned to you with the face of thunder. Leaned over, took a pause. I loved it. Paul was like, oh.
It's an interesting question, larger than our little movie about the endings of stories and how stories should end. I wrestle with some of that a lot on a lot of my stories, and you know the Greeks and the Romans, they love tragedies. I'm not sure Americans share that taste for tragedy.
I love a tragedy, so.
Yeah.
Well, they've always been, hopeful. It's a young nation, They don't have the experience of the Russians. Where
everything will eventually go wrong. Even if it goes good for a while, it's going to go wrong.
When I bought this theater, the Jean Cocteau, it had been closed off for 7 years. So I bought it and reopened it, and we refurbished it a little and all that. But then I'm trying to get movies to fill it, and of course, this is a tiny little independent theater. We weren't getting any of the big movies, the big Hollywood movies. Go away, we're not going to give any of that to you. So we're getting smaller independent movies and also older movies. And I had the bright idea, from my own childhood. Well, let's show some old kid movies, and we'll have a Saturday night children's matinee, and the kids will get in free. Their parents will have to pay. We'll get money that way. The kids will get in free, and we'll show them these old movies that some are in the public domain,
them
or you can
life.
get them cheap. And everybody thought that was a great idea, so I did that. And then, unfortunately, I began with one of my own favorite little boyhood things, Old Yeller.
That's a good one. Let's just go kill ourselves straight after.
And I didn't attend the screening myself, but I came by at the end to see how the kids had liked it. And I was treated to like 30 kids coming out of the theater weeping.
And then the never-ending story, the Dark Crystal.
What the hell?
Classic.
These kids have, you know.
I was going to say those ticket money went to future therapy sessions.
Yes,
That's right.
Yes.
I just say,
story of my life.
no, that's not.
Last
That's a good
Unicorn.
experience for the kids. Sooner or later, they have to shoot the dog. All life. In all life, sooner or later, you have to shoot the dog, right? No matter how much you love. I don't know.
Listen,
I'm a sick and twisted
showed the
human
Last
being.
Unicorn to my kids. It's a thing in our family. I'm like, we have to watch The Last Unicorn because that's just like so deeply
Peter Beagle.
ingrained.
He's amazing. Have you met him? He's
No, I
wonderful, too.
haven't. I would love to. He's
a wonderful guy.
literally my kind of movie inner soundtrack, like that was me for ages.
You did a screening with Peter here, right? For the
Several.
Last Unicorn.
Yeah.
I can
he
feel
toured
his body
for The Last
dying
Unicorn.
all around me.
And you know, another great one. I was just down in London, and we went to Cecil Court. You ever been to Cecil Court? Yeah, it's a street that's entirely bookshops, and they have old classic books, and you know you can find.
It's a money sink, that area.
Yeah, but I found a copy of Watership Down, autographed by the author.
Wow.
Another of my favorite books, and that's a great fantasy too, and it's great in a lot of ways.
Game of Thrones
but
with
the
rabbits.
end is well, yes, kind of, sort of. But the ending, you know, it's sort of a happy ending. They win. They establish Watership Down. The bad guy gets defeated, but at the end, the hero dies because he's old and he's a rabbit, and you see him going up to rabbit heaven, and it's so sad but
Oh my God.
sweet at the same
So
time.
gorgeous.